Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to get AI-assisted code editors to do the things that you want them to do? In today's video, we are going to touch on how we're going to make the project requirements for a calculator in such a way that we are sure that we have covered what we need to do. Today we'll be discussing how to take weak project requirements and turn them into solid project requirements that you can use as prompt context for your development work. This is one of the really important things because you want to have a good description of what you're trying to achieve. If you can't understand it yourself, there's no way that an LLM is going to understand it. So let's solve that. So what we'll be doing here is a thing that I quite often like to do with prompts. We're going to design a prompt that will ask you questions about what it is you're trying to achieve, and then eventually spit out all the information that you need to have. So what we'll do here is we'll tell it, you will ask one question at a time. Then as a second thing, we'll tell it, review the answers you have gotten, and if you've gotten enough answers to formulate a solid project description, stop. And in the event that we haven't jumped to step 4, we'll go back to step 1. Good. And so for the actual task description, what we will ask it to do is we'll ask it to write a task description that focuses on the API and the corresponding test set that we'll be using for the task at hand. And so the task should focus on the API and it should focus on the tests that need to pass. We're doing test-driven development here in this particular example. And you will have seen that in the last video how we actually used a project description to make sure that we build up the project exactly the way that we would like it to be. Next, we're going to give it an example of the inputs and outputs that we had. So we're going to do example input that can be used for a hello world application. So we want our output to be in Markdown format, which is why we choose this particular setup here with Markdown. So we're going to add a small description. So basically what we're explaining it here in the description is that we want to have a hello world application, and this should be built in a test-driven way. So we're going to make an interface, we're going to have a concrete implementation, and so this is a high-level description of it. Next we will put some requirements. Now that we've defined how we would like the prompt to generate an output for requirements, we're going to do the same for acceptance criteria. Okay, cool. So now we have we have the format for how this session is going to go between you and the LLM. We have defined what the example input looks like. We have defined what does the example output look like, and we're ready to go. So we're going to ask the LLM to now ask us the first question. Okay, and you see here it says, I'll help you collect the requirements for building a calculator in Rust. Let me start by asking you a question to clarify the requirement. What type of calculator should it be? For example, a basic arithmetic calculator. Okay, let's just copy this, and it's operated from the terminal. This should be easy. What specific arithmetic? Let's just take these 4. That looks great. We don't need this to be super complicated. Okay, how should the calculator handle input? This is a super good question actually. So often what happens is when you're sitting and you're doing your day-to-day development, you'll get some information from your project manager, and they will completely omit this kind of information, like how should it handle input. Let's say, let's do expressions. I think that's a great idea. This makes this slightly more complicated because now we need to build up a evaluation tree, but I think this will just make it more fun. Oh, and I even misspelled this. It still understand it. Should the calculator? No parentheses. That's too much work for this video. What type should be? Let's floating point. Actually, let's do both. How should the calculator handle errors in division by 0? It should produce an error. Should the calculator have a command line interface like REPL, read, evaluate, print loop? Yeah, let's do REPL. Okay. Are there any other specific? I don't think so. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, so here we go. We now get a very, very clear project description of what we want to do. So let's just copy this across to our document. So these are the project requirements. Let's just see. This task aims at implementing a basic arithmetic calculator in Rust that operates from the terminal. The calculator should provide REPL, blah blah blah. Okay, core functionality. I think, yeah, we're happy with this. That really looks good. Should evaluate. Okay. Implement. Okay. Test, evaluate. Okay. Okay, that actually looks great. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you'd like to go and try this out for yourself, head over to awesomecodeprompts.com, and in the description below I've left a link where you find the prompt. You can go on this website, it's free. You just put in your requirements and it will start chatting with you and do exactly what we have done today.